Hey, hashtag history listeners, Rachel here. I wanted to say a little something before we dive into this week's episode. Leah and I had a great time recording this episode because we get the opportunity to discuss something that happened very close to where we both live, but it's not very well known. However, it was a really tough and conflicting story to tell. Without giving too much away, we are talking today about a major hostage situation that occurred in Sacramento in the early 1990s. The hostage takers were a group of young immigrant men, and you will hear in this episode how conflicted Leah and I both are, because while we never, ever excuse what they did and what happened, we of course have empathy for their experiences leading up to what they did. So I just wanted to make it clear up front that while you will hear us empathize with their lived experiences leading up to the hostage, I also want to make it really, really clear that we in no way excuse or justify what happened. One other note I wanted to make is that you'll hear me sometimes interchangeably use the terms hostage takers or the term the boys in reference to this group. I referred to them as boys throughout the episode because they were high school age, early college age young men, and I just really wanted to emphasize how young they were. Thank you all so much for joining us on this journey and for understanding our hearts in bringing you this episode. This is Hashtag History, episode 63. I'm Rachel.
And I am Leah.
And this week we're bringing it home. Home. Yeah. And by that, I don't just mean that we are discussing something that occurred in our hometown of Sacramento, California. I mean that we are discussing something that happened less than 10 minutes from where I grew up. This week, we are discussing the Sacramento Good Guys Hostage situation, an incident that occurred on April 4th, 1991 in Sacramento, California, where 39 employees and customers of the Good Guys electronics store were held hostage for more than 8 hours by 4 hostage takers.
Just a little shout out. Not only is it Sacramento, but it's also just a few months before I was born.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. By the time this event ended, more than a dozen of the hostages would be injured and 3 of the hostages would be killed, as well as 3 of the 4 hostage takers. This incident remains the largest hostage rescue operation in American history.
Which is shocking. I had never heard of this, let alone
the fact that it happened 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
But first, let's have a drink.
Always.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Leah.
And this is Hashtag History, the podcast for both history nerds and history haters alike,
where we dive into history's greatest stories of controversy, conspiracy, and corruption.
So this cocktail was really hard. It was really hard to plan because, number one, I have never heard of this event before, so I had zero contextual ideas for the cocktail. Usually I'm it happened in Mississippi, so let's do a Mississippi sour or, something. No, zero idea other than, okay, I found out that it was in Sacramento.
And months before your birth.
And months before my birth. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to do a Google search for hostage cocktails and give our FBI agent another thing to add to her long list of reasons why she finds us suspicious.
Yeah, good call.
So I, normally I'd search something related to what we're doing, but I didn't want to look for hostage cocktails.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's fine.
That also felt tone deaf to me.
Yep. We like to go a little dark, a little morbid, but that one's a little too far off the edge.
Yeah. So,
we do actually have boundaries.
So after doing a tiny bit of research on this, I found out that it did happen here in Sacramento, and that at some point in the story, people whom I shall not name so as not to ruin the story, say they are going to the Sacramento River.
This is correct.
So behold, we're drinking the river cocktail.
Oh my God, I love it.
And it sounds bomb.
The look of it is gorge.
Yeah. So it contains 2 ounces of vodka, so a little over a shot of vodka, 0.75 ounces of simple syrup. You put some lemon juice in there. You throw 4 ounces of muddled tangerines and crushed ice. So the instructions say you muddle the tangerines and then you fill with crushed ice and top with the vodka and simple syrup. I did it a little out of order, but I think it looks really pretty as is.
It's beautiful, and this is probably me just being a little too much. But because of how like thick it is with the muddled tangerines and with all the crushed ice, it like when I'm stirring it kind of looks like slowly like a river.
Oh
no,
my God.
Right?
Like an orange, like
it kind of does, right? There's like a slow
sedimentary thing going on there. But I will say I don't think we'll be able to drink it with straws.
Yeah, it's the muddled tangerines are pretty thick, and it does look kind of like a smoothie, a watery smoothie.
Yeah, so the straws are just for like looks. I'm not sure why it's called a river since it neither. Well, I guess it does kind of resemble a river now that we're talking about it.
A river filled with pee.
But it doesn't really remind me of a river. So I'm not sure how it got its name, but it sounded so good that I didn't care in the slightest once I found it. I was like, yep, this is the one.
I love it.
So cheers. And let me know what you think.
I'm drinking orange juice.
Mm-hmm.
Is there vodka in it?
There's a lot of vodka in it, actually.
Yum. Delicious. I love it. It tastes exactly like what you would imagine. It's a chilled tangerine drink that maybe has alcohol in it.
Well, I mean, let's be real. Vodka doesn't taste like anything. Once you mix it with stuff, it just blends right on in. So, guys, if you like tangerine, this is the drink for you.
It literally tastes like tangerines in liquid form.
Yeah, it's so good.
Delicious.
Yeah. Rating?
9 out of 10?
Yeah. I would say easy drinking for you.
Yeah. Easy drinking. I like that. Mm-hmm. Sitting on the front porch, kind of lemonade.
Yeah.
Enjoying Sunday weather.
Yeah, it's Saturday, but yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay.
So before we begin this episode, I think we need to do a blanket trigger warning for all the things. We have violence, death, even miscarriage.
Oh.
There's a lot going on in this episode, and I just want to give an upfront warning to our listeners that we are discussing some really heavy and, for some people, really triggering topics. So use discretion when listening. To start off, what was Good Guys? Do you know what Good Guys
was? Like, after kind of research or, just like peripheral research on this story, I was like, oh yeah, Good Guys.
Yeah. So for anyone that doesn't know, Good Guys was an electronics store based here in California, Washington, Nevada, and Oregon. It was founded in 1973, but by 2006, all stores had closed. But don't you worry, if you purchased a television from Good Guys between 1973 and 2006 with an extended warranty, they've still got you covered. Great customer service.
Fantastic.
We love to see it. Like I shared at the very beginning of the episode, the particular Good Guys store that we are discussing today was only minutes from where I grew up.
Yeah.
It was located at 7020 Stockton Boulevard, which for any Sacramento locals, that building is now a Dollar Tree. It all begins with 4 young men that, although reported in the media at the time as being in a gang, were not associated with a gang. There were a lot of rumors going around that they were part of a gang called the Oriental Boys Gang, but upon further research, that does not appear to be true. In fact, it sounds like this gang theory was one that was spread amongst the police department and later perpetuated by the media, but teachers and relatives of the boys deny this. So 3 of them were brothers, Loy Hoc Win, who was 21, Pham Hoc Win, who was 19, and Long Hoc Win, who was 17, and a friend of theirs, Quang Tran, who was 17 also. The Wins lived in an apartment with their family situated just half a mile from the Good Guys store. It was a 2-bedroom apartment that housed an 8-person family.
Wow.
Tran lived in a home in a neighboring town, and by neighboring town, I mean literally where I live now.
Elk Grove.
Like
deep Elk Grove.
Yep.
Instead of just like on the periphery of Sacramento, Elk Grove.
He was in Elk Grove.
Okay.
It really can't be understated how unhappy these boys were. In statements the Wins' father shared following the incident, he said he never expected his sons to do what they would eventually do, of course, but that he was very aware of how unhappy they were living in America.
I mean, before I even know the story or know anything about it, you move to America hoping for all these improvements on your life, and then you're stuck in a 2-bedroom apartment with your 8-member family.
Yes.
Like that.
It's not the American dream.
It sounds disappointing and hard, and I can't imagine. So
yes,
that's rough.
They had all immigrated from Vietnam to the United States 12 years prior at the height of Vietnamese immigration following the rise of communism in Vietnam after the Vietnam War. It's estimated that more than 400,000 Vietnamese immigrated to the U.S. following the war, many of which came over on boats. The Nguyen family quite literally escaped from Vietnam on a fishing boat where they spent 7 months at sea. The Nguyen boys really struggled to adapt to American culture. Leah and I read a book for a book club that we're part of. It's called Miracle Creek, written by Angie Kim.
Oh, so good. That was one of my favorite book club books.
Mine too, 100%. And although the book is primarily, the story is about an alleged murder and the mystery surrounding that, I remember learning a lot from that book about the experiences of children of immigrants. Mm-hmm. One of the primary characters in the book, she's a first-generation Korean American. And one of the experiences she expressed in that book has really stuck with me. We read the book feels like a year ago.
I was
more
in
than a year
Europe
ago
when I was reading it for book club. So it was my honeymoon.
So
a little over a year.
And it still has
a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this one little, it was like 2 pages in the whole book, has really stuck with me still, because the character was talking about how her parents are her heroes and they are the people that, taught her everything she knows, and they were these authoritative, resourceful figures in her life until they came to America, and everything flipped, because here in America, she, as the child, was the one that learned the language and adapted to American culture while her parents struggled to keep up. And so the roles are reversed. The child now becomes the translator for the parent. The child is now the one that teaches the parents and has to really help the family in day-to-day scenarios.
And let's be frank, moving to America, their status as not white people lowered from where they came from.
Yes.
And so she had to witness that firsthand of seeing now my dad acts subordinate to people that he is actually more intelligent than.
Yes. That's a really good point to call out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And so, I mean, the dynamics just completely changed. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not saying that the dynamics are necessarily exactly the same in the Nguyen family, but I do think we can find parallels in that if the Nguyen boys were struggling at school, oftentimes they couldn't go to their parents for help necessarily. If they struggled with the English language, they couldn't go to their parents for help, and I can only imagine how difficult this must have been. Long Nguyen and Tran had become friends while attending Florin High School, which is the high school my husband attended. Is this whole episode just one big reunion?
Yeah, it is.
Yes, it is.
It is.
And that's where they had both been expelled from just 1 month before the Good Guys Hostage situation, because they had stolen equipment from the athletics department and had tried to set the school on fire.
I mean, that's pretty bad.
It's bad.
That's pretty bad.
The other Nguyen brothers also struggled in school. They each attended different schools, where one dropped out and the other was transferred from school to school due to attendance issues.
Ugh.
On the day of the hostage situation, the Nguyen boys told their parents that they were going fishing at the Sacramento River. Do you have any pastimes at the Sacramento River, Leah? I don't actually myself.
I went once. I went water skiing, or not skiing. What is it? Wakeboarding.
Yeah.
On the Sacramento River.
Nice.
But otherwise, I'm an American River girl. Mm-hmm. We live in Sacramento here. There's 2 converging rivers, the Sacramento and the American River. And I live about 2 seconds away from the American River.
And I feel my experiences growing up were at the American River, not the Sacramento River.
Yeah. Sacramento River is big for boaters.
Yes.
And like I said, wakeboarders, jet skier type stuff.
And the American River is somewhere you can just pop up a chair,
or even go rafting, or floating. That's where most of the floating happens. Mm-hmm. Is people just do a inner tube and float down the river.
Yeah,
drink a lot.
There's a lot of drinking that goes on at the American River.
Yeah,
clearly they did not go to the Sacramento River that day. Mm. Instead, at approximately 1 p.m., they drove up to the South Sacramento Good Guys store in their 1982 Toyota Corolla. They entered the store with 9mm pistols and a shotgun that they had legally obtained just a week before. They began shooting at the ceiling and had a store employee lock the doors. It became clear to the hostages shortly thereafter that this wasn't a robbery attempt. Rather, in the words of then Sacramento County Sheriff Glenn Craig, they were trying to gain notoriety. It became clear rather quickly that they never really had a clear agenda. While speaking on the phone with police negotiators, their demands changed erratically. At one point, the hostage takers demanded $4 million, Then they asked for a helicopter. Then they asked for 40 1,000-year-old ginseng roots. Then they asked for bulletproof vest. And then they asked for free transportation to Thailand. But first, with a stop to refuel in Alaska beforehand.
Well, they were thinking ahead there. But what's ginseng?
Ginseng is a plant that a lot of people use for tea.
And they asked for 1,000-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What are you confused about here?
Nope. Oh, that's
right.
it.
A call came into the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department around 1:33 p.m. And as the police department began surrounding the scene, so did the media. In fact, the most infamous picture from this incident was taken by the media around this time. And I've uploaded the picture for you here, Leah. When I think of this incident, this is the number one picture I always think of.
This is looking into the window, and you can see there's a guy standing up with a gun and then other people sitting on the floors. So looking into the windows, this is what people are seeing?
Yes.
Wow.
I talked to my dad before we recorded this episode, and my dad says he remembers watching this on live TV, seeing all of the hostages tied up. They were tied up with speaker wire, and they were placed at the front entrance of the store, almost like a human shield.
I mean, it was a good guy, so I get the audio wires.
Yeah. After obtaining copies of the building plans for the Good Guys store, the police department learned that the only way into the building, other than the front entrance, was the freight entrance around the back. But as the team was entering the freight entrance, the hostage takers heard them and demanded that they exit right away. The hostage takers had the back door barricaded so that the police could not enter through it.
I don't have anything to say other than obviously, I have not experienced what they've experienced being like immigrants into this country and being like profiled and all this stuff. I just can't imagine how it could escalate to this. That's crazy.
That is the difficult thing to understand about the situation, is because they didn't have a clear motive, a clear request, a clear demand. And so it is really hard to understand the situation.
But they were also like 17 years old. I mean, can you really expect them to eloquently express what they wanted?
Yeah.
I couldn't when I was 17.
No, not at all.
So.
Not at all. I read the stuff I wrote when I was 17 and I'm like, you child. You're not
silly child.
You're not in terms with your emotions and your thoughts and your feelings. You really don't have a grapple on things until, isn't it like your mid-20s is pretty much when your brain stops growing?
Yeah.
So, speaking of which, remember all of those crazy requests that they made to the police?
Yeah.
Well, one of those requests that the police department was like, yeah, can do, were the bulletproof vest. When they told the boys that they would give them a bulletproof vest in exchange for hostages, the boys agreed, but only if the person delivering the vest did so naked, so that they could be certain he was not armed.
No, uncomfortable.
Well, he did that.
Oh.
A Sacramento police officer.
Fantastic. Round of applause, guys.
He stripped down to his underwear. You can see this on live TV. It was on live TV. He stripped down to his underwear and delivered the bulletproof vest.
A+, fantastic.
He exchanged the vest with one of the hostages, a woman who had her children with her in the store, who was told that if she did not accept the bulletproof vest from the officer and return to the hostage takers inside the store, that her children would be shot and killed. So obviously, she did as she was told.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, after she completed this task, she and her children were allowed to leave, making them the first 3 hostages released.
Hi, I'm Tina Jaramillo.
And I'm Hillary Doherty.
And we host the Muck Podcast, where we discuss the dark and sometimes weird true stories in American politics.
Hey, Tina, did you know that Elvis crashed the Nixon White House for the sole purpose of getting a DEA badge? And it worked?
What? Or how a gun control advocate senator out of California engaged in gun trafficking with notorious gang leader Shrimp Boy?
Shrimp Boy, I remember him. Okay, so, we cover all of that and more from maladies, madness, mischief, and murder in U.S. politics.
And we also host a bi-weekly interview segment called Lil Muck.
We interview politicians, journalists, activists, and others who share their experiences in politics.
Find the Muck Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts and check us out on social media at the Muck Podcast.
Over the course of the next several hours, another 5 hostages would be released. The 8th hostage was released at 8:20 p.m. that evening. 8:20. This whole thing started at 1 p.m. And that hostage told the officers working on the case that the hostage takers were threatening that they were going to begin shooting the hostages soon. It's hard.
I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of people, and it's really hard.
Mm-hmm. I do think what you said is important, that like there is an element of not being able to express yourself in a different manner, but that's not justification for
it's
holding people hostage at gunpoint and threatening to kill them for shopping at a retail store in the middle of the afternoon.
Yeah.
The hostage takers followed through with this threat. Around 9 p.m., a 21-year-old hostage named Sean McIntyre was shot in the leg by Long Nguyen and then was released shortly thereafter. In fact, you can still watch footage of him literally dragging himself along the sidewalk outside the store as he exits the building. He would be the last hostage released. The police department mobilized sniper Jeffrey Boyes and gave him the instruction to take a shot the minute he had any one of the suspects in his line of sight. And another really interesting hometown fact, my father-in-law says that the sniper Boyes actually lived on his street here in Sacramento in the 90s. So that's pretty cool though, no, right?
Yeah.
He literally had a sniper with the police department living on his street.
Cool.
This next part is really horrendous, and I'm sending out all the trigger warnings here. Surviving hostages said that at this point, the hostage takers just began shooting. They split the hostages into groups and started flipping coins to determine who they would kill next. During this time period, they also had some of the hostage takers on the phone with the police to relay their demands and negotiations. Not long after this, a second bulletproof vest was delivered to the hostage takers in a similar fashion as before. The hostage takers had one of the hostages, whose hands were tied with speaker cord, retrieved the vest from the officer. Just as she was retrieving the vest, the sniper shot at one of the hostage takers, but it was right as the glass door to the building was closing, so the bullet ended up hitting the glass and shattering it. This was all captured on live TV. I actually have some footage to watch.
I was going to say, I need to see some of this.
We're going to see it, and we will share all of the links to this as well for all of our listeners to see. But I'm going to share with Leah right now some footage so that she can kind of describe what we see happen and then what happens directly afterwards.
First of all, KCRA 3 reports.
Our local news station. And yeah, it just shows the glass shattering and everyone ducking. And then you see actually a hostage, it looks like, just makes a run for it out of that shattered window, which I was like, good. Yeah. Good for him. And then you see that one of the shooters like just run down the line of hostages, and the reporter says like he just one by one was shooting each and every one of the hostages. Yes, exactly. So all of this was on live TV. People watched as the gunman ran across the front of the store in clear view because they were right there behind glass doors and began shooting at the tied up hostages. A 7-person law enforcement team broke through the back doors, which, if you will recall from earlier, those had previously been barricaded by the hostage takers, and they made their way to the front of the store. A bullet war began with the hostage takers shooting at the entry team and the entry team shooting back at them. It would take only 30 seconds for this bullet war to end, with 3 of the 4 hostage takers shot and killed. When all was said and done, 6 people had been killed, 3 of which were hostages. 2 of them were store employees, while the remaining one was a customer, and a total of 11 were wounded. One of the most atrocious stories to occur as a result of the Sacramento Good Guys hostage situation was a woman named Lisa Joseph, who had been pregnant during the incident. She suffered such severe stress and trauma that at one point during the hostage, when she asked to use the restroom, she very quickly realized that she had miscarried her baby. She was interviewed only a few years ago, actually, for a KCRA news article in which she told her story. She said she could tell she was going into labor at only 5 months pregnant because she was having severe cramps and bleeding. This is a quote from her for that story. She said, "After we were tortured for like many hours, they let me use the restroom, and then that was the moment that I had my baby." The surviving hostage taker, Loy Nguyen, was charged with 54 felonies, which included murder, attempted murder, assault with a firearm, and kidnapping. It was determined by the court that Loy had been particularly responsible for the tragedy that had occurred that day, as it was found that he was the one that had purchased the guns and driven the car to the store. Because of the publicity of the case, they couldn't hold the trial here in Sacramento. Rather, they moved it to San Francisco, where after only 2 days of jury deliberations, Loy Nguyen was convicted and sentenced to life in prison without the chance of parole. He is currently serving this sentence at a California state prison. Good Guys Corporation set up trust funds for the 2 employees that had been killed as a result of this tragic incident and paid for the funeral of the other victim. This whole case is so tragic. And a lot of the reason for that is because we can't figure out the reason for it, right? I'm not sure the hostage takers ever really had a rational reason for it either. As we discussed earlier, their demands changed minute by minute. Remember, 1 minute they were asking for millions of dollars. The next they were demanding a helicopter that would take them to Thailand, but only after, stopping off in Alaska for fuel.
I also don't think helicopters can, make it across the Pacific. I'm not positive, but I'm just guessing.
Another side fact.
Yeah.
Other times they demanded 1,000-year-old ginseng plants. At some point, they stated that they wanted notoriety, and seeing the live television stations outside the store had some of them excited that they were going to be, quote, movie stars.
No.
It's just really, really tragic because it was so senseless.
Mm-hmm.
The only rationale that was ever stated came during Loy Nguyen's trial, in which his attorney stated that the reason for what the hostage takers had done that day was because of their frustrations here in America. Their frustrations with not being able to learn English, their frustrations with being poor students and not excelling academically, and their frustrations with having difficulty finding jobs. Following this incident, some in the Vietnamese community here in Sacramento stated that they noticed an increase in Vietnamese harassment. Viet Lee, a chairman of the Forum of Refugee Affairs, was quoted in an LA Times article as saying, "Something of this magnitude has never happened to our people before. It could have happened to any community, any ethnic group, but unfortunately it happened in our community, and now we are in the spotlight." In 2019, film writer and director Nick Leisure, who was born in Sacramento.
Good name.
I know, Nick Leisure, released a movie titled A Clear Shot, which is based on the 1991 Sacramento Good Guys Hostage situation. Leisure tried to get the movie filmed here in Sacramento, but I guess Sacramento was being super lame about it, so he ended up shooting it in Mexico.
That's surprising to hear, since in 2019, that's right after Lady Bird happened, which Sacramento is trying to get films happening here in Sacramento.
Good point. I didn't even consider
Lady Bird was, I think, 2018.
That sounds right.
Yeah,
that sounds right. It's kind of funny. Leisure's response to that was cool. If you don't want me to do it here in Sacramento, I will literally bring millions to the Mexican economy by doing it there instead. And as an FYI, I watched the movie in preparation for this episode.
Is it okay?
It's very, very, very cheesy.
Okay. I mean, is that surprising?
But pretty damn accurate.
Wow.
As long as you can get over all the cheese.
I kind of want to watch it.
I'd be down. If you can get over all the cheese, I recommend checking it out. Mm-hmm. One example of how cheesy it is that I have to mention is, remember the police officer that stripped down to his underwear to deliver the first bulletproof vest to the hostage takers?
Fully naked.
Well, okay. I've seen pictures from that day of this officer in his tidy whities, and let's be real, he's got a beer belly.
Yeah.
We've all got a beer belly.
Chiseled in the movie.
Yeah.
Hot? Okay. Chiseled, regardless.
I wouldn't say hot. But when the officer in the movie strips down to his underpants, he's totally ripped and very clearly tans on the rag.
Love it.
The orange tan.
Let's watch it.
The orange tan and the abs.
Okay.
In all seriousness, though, the Sacramento Good Guys hostage situation goes down in history as the largest hostage rescue on American soil to this day.
Which is not a really proud thing for
no.
Speaking as a Sacramento native.
Not something that we would be proud of.
I haven't heard of it, so we've done a really great job of burying this.
Good job, Sacramento history.
Yeah.
Good job, burying it. That was great. Thank Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of Hashtag History.
We, as always, will share the pictures that we discussed on this episode to our Instagram. All sources used to put together this episode can be found on our website at hashtaghistory-pod.com.
And then subscribe to us on whatever podcast platform you use. What are we on? We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts.
Pocket Cast.
Google Podcast.
So many. All of them.
All of them. Share about us with whomever you would like. Your family, your friends, your coworkers, random people you meet in the grocery store.
That's right. Be like, hey, Sacramento-based podcast.
Love it.
Love it.
And then give us a rate and review.
Please do. And then I'm going to circle right back to Instagram because we didn't give you our handle. You got to find us on there. You got to check us out. We are #history_podcast.
And then just a little plug here. We are on Patreon, and literally you guys, for as little as $1 a month, you can help support the podcast by giving that $1 to our books and booze supply. That literally funds the podcast. It helps us purchase the booze. It helps us purchase the history books and all the goods.
Yeah.
And then if you do that, you will get access to some behind-the-scenes content, and then we mail you cards and stickers and give you a shout-out and all the good stuff.
Yeah, all the goodies.
All the
Really.
goodies.
$1 a month. Like, that's less than a single Starbucks coffee.
That's less than a lick of espresso.
Right.
A lick.
Yeah. So just consider it. Just a thought.
It's just a passing thought.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it longer than that, that's cool too.
Yeah. If you want to think about it really, really long and hard and then decide to give us more than $1 a month.
That's just a thought, though.
Just a thought.
Anyway, moving on.
Moving on.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. I went high that time.
And by that, I don't just mean that we're discussing something that...
Oh my God, that was literally
Yep,
your next
that's why
line.
I just skipped it.
Okay.
Yep, because you said what I was going to say.
Because I ruined it. Okay.
No, you didn't ruin it at all. It's because you read my mind.
Do we go?
I've only had one once in my entire life, and Alex...
On me, bitch.
Okay. Mon me. They were attempting to trying to jam.
Not only to our Instagram, actually only to our Instagram.
I was like, where else are we sharing? I mean, we can post it if we want.
To our Instagram.
Not only there, but also there. You should know where to go.